Have you ever wondered why you destroy every good thing that happens to you? Why just when success is within reach, you somehow find a way to mess it all up? You're not crazy, and you're not alone. Freud discovered something disturbing about the human mind that explains this self-destructive pattern perfectly. He called it the death drive. But it's much more complex than you think. Your subconscious mind has been programmed to keep you safe. But safe doesn't mean successful. It means staying exactly where you are, even if that place is miserable. Right now, as you're watching this, your mind is probably already creating excuses for why this won't work for you. That's your psychological defense system kicking in. Freud realized that we have two competing forces inside us. One that wants to grow and succeed, and another that wants to return to a state of non-existence. Non-responsibility, non-risk. The second force is usually stronger because it's been protecting you since childhood. But here's what Freud discovered that changes everything about how you can break free from this pattern. Tell me in the comments, when was the last time you sabotaged something good in your life? The comments are already pouring in, and I can see most of you recognize this pattern in yourselves. But here's where it gets really dark. Freud discovered that your mind actually gets pleasure from your failures. Yes, you read that right. There's a part of your psyche that feels satisfied when you mess things up, because it confirms what you've always believed about yourself deep down. This is what he called repetition compulsion. You're literally addicted to recreating the same painful experiences over and over again. Think about your relationships, your career, your finances. Do you see the same patterns repeating? That's not coincidence. That's your unconscious mind running the show. Your ego has built an identity around struggle, around not being good enough, around almost making it, but not quite. And when something threatens to change that identity, like real success, your mind panics and hits the self-destruct button. The crazy part is, you're completely unaware this is happening. You think you want success, but your unconscious is working 24/7 to prevent it. Drop a yes in the comments if this is hitting home for you right now. The yes responses are flooding in, which proves Freud was right about something even more disturbing. Your childhood trauma isn't just a memory, it's actively controlling your adult decisions right now. That critical voice in your head, that's not your voice. It's your parents, your teachers, everyone who ever made you feel small. Freud called this the superego, the harsh internal critic that never shuts up. But here's what most people don't know. This voice isn't trying to help you improve. It's trying to keep you exactly where your childhood programming says you belong. Every time you try to rise above your circumstances, this voice gets louder and more vicious. Who do you think you are? You're not smart enough for this. People like us don't get nice things. Sound familiar? This internal saboteur has been running your life since you were 5 years old, and you've been mistaken for wisdom or self-protection. The truth is, it's neither. It's a psychological prison that gets stronger every time you listen to it. Your adult brain knows you're capable of more, but your child brain is still terrified of being abandoned or rejected for being too much. Comment below, what's the cruelest thing your inner voice tells you? Reading these comments is heartbreaking because I can see how many of you are living with these toxic internal voices every single day. But Freud discovered something revolutionary about how to silence them. The key isn't positive thinking or affirmations. Those actually make it worse because they create internal conflict. The secret is understanding that your cruel inner voice isn't you. It's what Freud called an introject. Basically, you've internalized other people's criticism, and now you're doing their job for them. This voice developed to protect you as a child. If you criticized yourself first, maybe the adults wouldn't abandon you. If you stayed small, maybe you'd stay safe. But now this protection system is destroying your adult life. The voice that once kept you safe is now keeping you stuck. Here's what Freud taught us. You can't fight this voice directly because it's part of your survival mechanism. Instead, you have to understand its origin and give it a new job. The moment you realize this voice isn't the truth about you, it begins to lose its power. It's just an old recording playing on repeat, and recordings can be changed. Tell me, are you ready to stop letting a 5-year-old's fears run your adult life? I can see from your comments that many of you are starting to recognize these patterns, but you're asking the crucial question, how do I actually change this? This is where Freud's method gets really interesting. He discovered that your mind hides your real motivations from you because they're too painful to acknowledge. You think you're afraid of failure, but you're actually afraid of success. Why? Because success means you'll have to leave behind the familiar prison of limitation. It means you'll have to face the possibility that you've been wrong about yourself this whole time. That's terrifying because it means you've wasted years of your life believing a lie. Success also means you might outgrow the people around you, and your unconscious fears that means losing love and connection. So your mind chooses familiar misery over uncertain joy. This is why every time you get close to breaking through, you unconsciously create drama, make bad decisions, or find excuses to quit. Freud called this psychological homeostasis. Your mind will do whatever it takes to keep you in your comfort zone, even if that zone is uncomfortable. But here's the breakthrough. Once you see this pattern clearly, you can start to interrupt it. What fear is really driving your self-sabotage? Share it below. Your honest answers in the comments prove that you're ready for the next level of truth. Freud discovered that your relationship with success is actually a mirror of your relationship with your parents. If your parents struggled with money, you'll unconsciously struggle too. Not because you have to, but because succeeding would feel like betraying them. If they criticized your dreams, you'll criticize them too. If they lived small lives, you'll shrink yourself to match. This is what he called loyalty to the trauma. You're being loyal to people who limited you and calling it love. But it's not love, it's psychological slavery. Your subconscious believes that if you become successful, happy, or confident, you'll lose connection with your family or origin story. So it keeps you stuck in patterns that feel familiar, even if they're destroying you. The most successful people aren't the ones with the most talent. They're the ones who broke free from their psychological inheritance. They decided that their dreams mattered more than their fears, and their future mattered more than their past. But breaking this cycle requires something most people aren't willing to do. You have to be willing to disappoint the voices in your head that sound like the people who raised you. Are you ready to choose your dreams over your programming? The resistance in some of these comments tells me we're hitting the core wound. Your mind is fighting back because we're getting close to the truth it's been protecting you from. Freud discovered that your biggest fear isn't really failure. It's discovering that you're actually capable of everything you've ever wanted. Because if you're capable, that means you've been choosing limitation. And that's a painful truth to face. Your ego has built an entire identity around struggle, around not being good enough, around external circumstances holding you back. But what if nothing is holding you back except the stories you tell yourself? What if your limitations are self-imposed? That's a terrifying thought because it means you have power. And power means responsibility. It's easier to blame your past, your circumstances, your bad luck, than to admit you've been unconsciously choosing the life you have. Freud called this secondary gain, the hidden benefits you get from staying stuck. Staying small means you don't have to risk real failure. Playing victim means people feel sorry for you. Struggling means you have excuses for not trying harder. But these hidden benefits are costing you everything you actually want. The question isn't whether you can change, it's whether you're willing to give up the payoffs of staying the same. What would you have to give up to become who you're meant to be? Your comments show me that some of you are starting to get uncomfortable, and that's exactly where the transformation begins. Freud taught us that all psychological change happens at the edge of discomfort. Your comfort zone isn't comfortable. It's just familiar, and your mind confuses familiar with safe. But here's what he discovered about breaking free. You don't need to fix your past. You need to stop letting it run your future. Every day you wake up, you have a choice. Repeat yesterday's patterns or create new ones. Your subconscious will fight you every step of the way because change feels dangerous to it. It will create anxiety, doubt, and 1,000 reasons why you should wait until tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes because your fears grow stronger the longer you feed them. The secret Freud uncovered is that your psychological wounds aren't weaknesses. They're your greatest source of power once you understand them. The sensitivity that makes you feel everything so deeply. That's your superpower once you channel it. The perfectionism that paralyzes you. That's excellence waiting to be unleashed. The fear of rejection that keeps you small. That's your desire for authentic connection trying to emerge. But you have to stop running from these parts of yourself and start working with them. Your pain isn't the problem. Your resistance to feeling it is. Are you ready to transform your wounds into wisdom? I can see from your comments that you're starting to understand, but now comes the hardest part. Actually doing something different. Freud discovered that insight without action is just intellectual entertainment. Your mind loves to understand problems without solving them, because understanding feels like progress without requiring change. But here's what separates people who transform their lives from people who just think about it. They're willing to act while afraid. They're willing to feel stupid while they learn. They're willing to be uncomfortable while they grow. Your current life is the result of thousands of small decisions made from fear. Your new life will be the result of small decisions made from courage. It doesn't take massive action. It takes consistent action in the direction of who you want to become. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're rewiring your brain. Every time you act despite your fear, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than your programming. But here's the key. You have to start before you feel ready. You have to begin before you believe you can succeed. Because confidence comes from action, not the other way around. Your subconscious learns through experience, not through thinking. The version of you that can handle success already exists. You just have to give them permission to emerge. What's one small action you could take today that your future self would thank you for? As we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to understand something crucial that Freud discovered. You're not broken, you're not damaged, and you're not behind in life. You're exactly where you need to be to begin. Every struggle you've faced, every pattern you want to break, every fear you want to overcome, these aren't obstacles to your success. They're the raw material for it. The people who create extraordinary lives aren't the ones who never struggled. They're the ones who learn to struggle differently. They're the ones who stopped seeing their psychological patterns as permanent and started seeing them as choices. Your mind will always prefer the familiar pain of staying the same to the uncertain joy of changing. That's normal. That's human. That's not a reason to give up. The secret is to expect resistance, plan for it, and move forward anyway. Remember, you're not trying to eliminate fear, you're trying to act in spite of it. You're not trying to silence your inner critic, you're trying to stop letting it make your decisions. You're not trying to forget your past, you're trying to stop letting it write your future. The power to change your life has always been inside you. Freud just gave us the map to find it. The question now isn't whether you can change, it's whether you will. Your future self is waiting. What will you tell them about what you did next? Tentar novamente o Claude pode cometer erros. Confira sempre as respostas.